What's up, everybody? I'm here in this kitchen. I just realized that the background kind of looks ridiculous, but we're talking about picking. We were also talking about some left-hand stuff. I want to get into strumming. It's the same idea, right? We're just going to go nice and easy. Now, the goal immediately, I know I'm kind of watching myself. I came in pretty good with my elbow. The goal is actually to get a nice wrist movement by taking the elbow out completely. If we don't move the elbow, we're kind of forced to do this. It's almost like an infinity sign. You know, it's not just this circle. We kind of go down and then we twist and we're back up, right? It's got a little bit of a doorknob turning kind of motion, down and up. Now the thing is, you want the pick sort of facing up for the down, and you're swinging through, and then same facing down for the way up, so it's not getting stuck right in there. There's so much dynamic to strumming, but it's amazing how much of it actually comes from being completely loose, right? And just like we were saying, you know, if you're picking, you know, and you're trying to stay really close, it feels like nothing. You know, down here, it feels like nothing, like the amount of pressure, you don't have to squeeze really. So this is gonna be the same thing. We're almost at the point of losing our pick, right? It's almost that loose. So just get used to strumming incredibly light and incredibly loose. Now it is amazing. I'm going really light here. I'm not trying to bother anybody that's like kind of living next door in this Airbnb, but I'm going really light, right? All I need to do is squeeze the pick. It's amazing how much more volume that adds, okay? But you don't want to start there, right? That now you can regulate. There's so much squeeze. I kind of went from maybe a 10% to like a 90% in there, right? There's all this in between that you can mess with, which is going to be available if you just start strumming really lightly, right? Getting it really light. Now, if we want to add volume, there's a couple things that are going to happen. We're going to squeeze the pick in just a little bit. That's going to help. That's going to add that much more volume without any more motion, right? Now, what we can do is then we sort of now have two motions. We're turning, right? And we're moving our wrist down, right? So now those two motions together are going to add more volume. And lastly is going to be our elbow, okay? You don't want to just go completely straight and just go complete elbow, all right? There's not going to be that much dynamic. It's not going to be that fluid. And that elbow, you don't want that elbow to kick in. You know, that elbow is like sixth gear, you know, if you're like, you know, racing. That you don't want that to kick in yet unless you absolutely need it. After you squeeze the pick just a little bit more, you know what I mean? Make it comfortable. All of these, there's all these factors that you can use a little bit more of one and a little bit more of other. There's not going to be a mathematical way of getting from a soft to louder and louder. It's going to be your preference, but the best way technique-wise is starting light, squeezing the pick just a little bit more. And I'm not talking about going from 10 to 90. Now you're all the way in, right? Getting a little bit more. So if I'm just kind of doing this, right? It's very like turn of the wrist. Now I can turn and move down. I can just give like a little bit more as I'm turning in, you know, to kind of give that, but it's still staying very relaxed. And then lastly, you know, if I'm using my elbow, you want it to be your elbow and then you're still moving down. Right, your elbow, and then you're still moving up, right? And that elbow is just adding that last little bit of velocity to get us an even higher volume, right? But all of this stuff is going to be easier if we just get down to that bare minimum. Like I've had students, because you know everyone. It's sort of a specialty of some of the ways that I've been teaching, but my clients, for the most part, kind of come in with some physical things. You know, a lot of them have been playing for a while. They've just been playing I don't want to say wrong, but slightly wrong, you know, depending on, you know, they kind of hit that plateau where they can't go any faster, they can't pick any faster, their arms are getting tired, whatever it is, right? So that being said, with some of the students I've had that have strumming issues, that's not usually the main issue, right? That's something that can sort of take care of itself over time, where some of our left hand and then some of our picking technique can kind of like we're just hitting a wall and we can't get past it. Sometimes that strumming will work itself out a little bit easier than some of the other techniques. But that's not something that we can't just tackle immediately. Now with those students, those clients that are tensing up a little too much and holding their pick and making everything really stiff, I would much rather you drop the pick a lot in this sort of training, because then you're really finding that line between like exactly how much to hold and just go on the other side of that, so you're holding it just a little bit more, but you still, I mean, that pick should be nice and flexed, right? And that's not to say there's not times to pick with something that's hard, or even like, I don't know, like a quarter or something, you know, like a coin, might also be cool for that kind of sound. But you want that pick to be pretty flexible, you know, and it's just going to make a nicer sound at first, and then eventually we can get a little bit heavier. So I hope that helped for anyone that is having is having technique trouble strumming. You know, because the goal is to get this, if I just do this G chord, the goal is actually to get this nice and easy, down, up, down, up. Now what's actually happening, doesn't matter what strumming pattern it is, if you watch my hand, I'm still just going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And that's what gives us a nice fluid sound, and a nice rhythmic sound. We're not sounding really stiff, we're not sounding amateur. A very amateur thing to do is, which could sound similar. I mean, the rhythm's the same, but it's not gonna have that fluid motion of just keeping this sort of like a train that's just driving through. Right? And you're literally just picking which downs to hit and which ups to hit and which ones to miss. So that's my strumming lesson, guys. I really hope you like it. This is for a specific student. You know what? I'm not gonna call out their name. I'm not gonna call out their name, but thank you, guys.